Hey everyone, it's Katie from Moonflower Moments. So I'm here today to share with y'all my top 10 favorite Oracle decks of all time, and I'm so thankful that I decided to wait to make this video. I wanted to make it like as a pair along with my top 10 tarot decks of all time, which I made I think about 2 months ago now. I'll leave a link in the description box below to that one if you want to give it a watch. But at the time that I was making my top 10 tarot decks, I was making that video because I really wasn't using Oracle and I wasn't really enjoying it that much. And I think that like I've had some new decks come into my collection. I've given myself permission to buy Oracle decks, and since that I've explored new things and tried out new things, I feel like it's kind of like reading in that kind of way. Like everybody's a reader, you just haven't found the right book. I feel that way is very applicable to me. I just hadn't found the right Oracle decks. So I'm going to share my top 10 list with you, and quite a few are like newer decks to my collection. And so I'll walk you through why I like them and how I use them and stuff like that. So I'm going to start with my decks that are at the bottom of my list, and then I'm going to work my way up to number 1. So the first deck that I really enjoy is Southern Gothic. I love this deck in a lot of ways, and then I don't love it in other ways. So I do use it. I recently discovered that I like to use it when I'm working with my grandmother. My problem is that Louisiana is a southern state, but it doesn't quite fit in within like the southern demographic. So I used to use this deck a lot more when I lived in Alabama. But once I realized that my granny grew up near Mississippi, I'd say probably about 30 minutes away from it. So she did participate in a lot of like these traditional southern things. And when I realized that I could use this as a connection to her, to reflect on what she experienced in her life and to consider what she still has to teach me, though she's been gone for probably about 10 years now, I think it opened the door a little bit to me. I do really love the artwork in this deck. I think that the colors are really beautiful. I love the matte cardstock. It goes along well with a lot of things that I own because it is jewel toned in nature. And so I do find that it's pretty versatile in that way. I'm actually reading for someone today who grew up in the South, and I think I might take this one with me. I think for me, I just really need to take the edition pack into it, the expansion pack. I have, let's see if I can find one of the cards. Okay, here we go. So the cards that don't have numbers on them are part of the Haunts expansion pack. I think it would benefit me if I took these out and did like Krista Chronicles and put the expansion pack to this deck and the expansion pack to Southern Botanic, which is another deck by this creator, together to have like some sort of shadow package. Because having this mixed in with some of the other keywords, I feel like thematically they don't go together as well as I think that they should. So I mean, I know that like I'm on like my top 10 favorite Oracle decks, and I'm kind of like showing that this one's like mid, but I think I really do have 9 favorite Oracle decks, and this one I just needed for number 10. So bear with me, I'll be a lot more enthusiastic about the rest of them. And I do love this sweet little alligator. I did a lot of work with him on my altar space when I was living in Alabama. So when I get cards that truly do depict where I live, I do see the beauty in it. I really do. So it's one that I want to work with more this autumn season. I think it's a perfect deck for autumn. So I'm gonna get there, and look at that cute little raccoon. I'm just gonna go ahead and flip through because I already showed most of the cards. There we go. That was Southern Gothic. Okay, next is one that I'm pretty excited about. This is a deck that my relationship has been pretty consistent with ever since I purchased it. This is the Fallen Angels Oracle. I love the way that this deck looks with other decks in my collection. I'm 1000% a jewel tones kind of gal. So I love these heavy jewel tones. I feel like I'm stepping into a place that's like rich, and the gemstones are just like shining all over me. I love the color palette of this. I'm obsessed with it. It goes with Green Witch. It goes with the revised 1989 version of Jupiter King that I just got in. This deck is so freaking versatile and how it pairs with other things. And I especially like to pair it with Green Witch because Green Witch is like such a like happy deck. Let me show you what the pair looks like. Here, let's go ahead and scoot this over so you can see it. So I think you can see already how the colors work together. I like pairing these together because Green Witch is so happy that it is nice to get a balance from the Fallen Angels Oracle as just something like heavier to ground the message. I like how these figures look the same a lot. That's really cool. So this is a match that I use often when I need like support and comfort from Greenwich, but I need something that's like heavier and will slap me in the face, because these keywords tend to run a little bit shadowy. So I just like them together. I mean, look at those colors. I'll show a few more. There we go. Oh wait, I gotta stop on a good one. Okay, there we go. So that was Fallen Angels Oracle and my usual match with it. And it definitely doesn't hurt like Fallen Angels that I love to use it with Greenwich, because Greenwich is definitely one of my top 10 favorite decks. I included that in my top 10 tarot decks video as well. Okay, next I'm going to show a couple decks that I keep mixed together all the time. And that is going to be my Druid Plant and Animal Oracle. So let's see if we get this on camera. It's kind of a big deck. There we go. So I definitely prefer the animal version of this one, but this is the plant and the animal that is mixed in. I call this like my Druid like Master Forest deck. I don't know, it's a Master Forest to me because we have plants, we have animals, we have everything. And so I like the animal one a little bit more because there are references in the guidebook to what all of these creatures mean, but oftentimes I find that the artwork for the animal one is a little bit more intuitive than the artwork for the plant one. So a lot of times when I'm working with the plants, I dip my toes into it because I'm not familiar with British Isle plants enough to know what vervain means. You know, like I specialize in native plants in Louisiana. So the plants that are depicted in these two decks are just a little bit far outside of my reach, though I do tend to know borage because I plant this every year. But the animals are common enough to where I do know enough about them that I'm able to kind of sense my way through, and I don't need to rely on the guidebook as much. So I think that's why I have a preference for the plant over the animal, but both of these decks are just stunning. I'm a massive fan of the artwork. One of my first decks ever was the Druidcraft Tarot, and if not for the heavy borders that I am terrified to cut off, I would probably use that deck almost every single day. I really do value everything that is done by the creator of Druidcraft and then the creators of this deck. I know it's the illustrator is the same, but I'm pretty sure that the creators themselves are different. But I appreciate what they bring to the table because sometimes I do want to dip my toes into some lore from the British Isles, and I feel like this offers me that easy access point to do so. So this was the Plant and Animal Druid Oracles, so the Druid Plant and Animal Oracles. Pretty common. I think this one gets shown on TarotTube a lot. All right, next I have Queen of the Moon Oracle. I did edge this one in this beautiful orange, and that's actually what changed my relationship with this one a lot. I won't spend a lot of time on this one because I know it's pretty common, but also I've talked about this deck constantly on my channel recently. This is a current obsession. It probably will score higher than number 7 where I'm placing it right now, but since it's such a recent obsession, I don't want to stick it all the way up at the top where my tried and trues are. So it's creeping up there though. I love the artwork. Once again, have I established already that I'm a jewel tone person? Yes, I love jewel tone tarot decks. It's one of my favorite things in the world. This also matches really well with Greenwich, and so I appreciate this. This matches super, super well with Under the Oak Tarot. So I know what to use this deck with, and it's such a friendly partner to so many. So I don't lock it into monogamous relationships. I just pull out a deck and like 9 out of 10 times Queen of the Moon is going to look good with it and is going to read well with it. I said in my What Oracle Decks Do I Like video, I really need to update that video. It's not that old, but I've had some dramatic changes. So I guess this is like the part 2 to it, that I don't like decks that have one keyword. But recently, because I've been so busy with school, I've been finding that decks with one keyword are hitting the spot and they're giving me exactly what I need in life. So I appreciate this deck in particular for teaching me this. Guys, the reason that I decided to edge this deck, it was because it was my first time edging a deck with a Tombow marker, and so I didn't know what to expect. And I was like, okay, what deck has glossy finish so like if I go on the front, I can get it off? What deck do I not care about? And like if I ruin, it's not gonna mess up my relationship with it. And it was this one. Like I literally picked this deck to edge because it was at the very bottom of my deck list, period, for oracles and tarot. And now it's jumped up to number 7 in the oracles, and I would probably say within the top 20 of my collection overall. So we're having a complete 180. I love this deck. Love it, love it, love it. I think it's great. I will say I don't like the guidebook. I just don't. I don't use it. I don't get anything from it. It feels, the words kind of feel empty. So, I mean, once I ignore that, I'm good to go. But like I had already said earlier, I don't like to use the guidebook on many things, so I don't mind. I just don't mind. So yeah, this was Queen of the Moon Oracle. I'll go ahead and show you the rest because I'm already here. And what a great card to end on. Isn't that a beautiful fall card? I think that's part of the reason it's shining right now too, because I know some people consider jewel tones to be like summer decks, but I do kind of consider jewel tones, especially where I live, where fall is more of like a second spring and we only get a couple weeks of winter. Jewel tones really seem to sit in like this harvest period for me. So all right, and we're on number 6 now, and y'all probably know that I love this deck because I talk about it all the freaking time. You want to talk about a deck that's great to use for other people? We're talking about Runic Odyssey, and I'll hold it in my hand, so hopefully it'll catch the light and you're able to see the artwork, because this gold foiling kind of makes it difficult to show on camera. I love this sweet deck. It doesn't have a lot of cards. I think it has the runic phases and then the moon phases, so however many cards that is. I'd be lying if I told you I knew. Like, it's a small little deck, and I have the pocket version too, which makes it even smaller and even cuter. But when I'm reading for clients, this is one that I always bring with me. Matter of fact, I'm reading for someone today, and I will definitely bring this deck with me because I just really appreciate how specific the keywords are, but yet how expansive. Like, I feel like words like joy, harmony, new beginnings, awakening, breakthrough, gestation, inner growth. Like, look at this, and you have this plant that's coming up in the background. These words are just powerful words, and I feel like a lot of times they relate to the different parts of the journey that people are in. And so I use this a lot of times to look through kind of like what stage of the journey they're in, like intuition, evolution, courage, justice, trust, and partnership. I feel like these words very much depict kind of the stages that people go through in life. So sometimes when I'm reading for people, I'll pull tarot cards, and then underneath it, I'll pull one of these for each of the cards, because I do find that it is a mighty powerful little clarifier, and it works so well with tarot. I do think it's out of print. I'm sorry guys. I waited like a year for it to come back in print, and then I purchased this. I'll leave a link in the description box below to their Etsy shop in case it does come back in print, but I think when it comes back in print, I'm gonna buy the big one too, because I love it that much. I mean, it's just good. I don't know anything about runes, but I do know that I love the Runic Odyssey deck. All right, y'all knew she was gonna come up. I have edged this one too, and I love the edging I did. This is the Power of Surrender cards, and these are some powerful little cards. Guys, I have the weirdest relationship with this deck. I use it a lot, and I use it for clients a lot, but for whatever reason, I don't know every card in this deck. I flipped through this deck. I've talked about this deck on my channel. I've used this deck for myself. I've used this deck for other people. But like, I don't know all of the cards because I don't get all of the cards. I feel like this deck says exactly what you need. And so when I'm reading for other people and like I pull out surrender to what is, never seen this card before in my life. Like, sure, I've seen it, but I've never processed it because I guess this is not something that I need advice on. But like, I think you understand, like, after you have a deck for a while, like, you get used to seeing the cards. But like, whatever reason with this one, like, I just don't. And then I pull out a card when I'm reading for a client and I'm like, I've never seen this card before. And they think I'm exaggerating, and I've like learned to stop saying it because I don't want to like play into the woo, like, where did this card come from? Like, from my magic bag of tricks, whatever. But like, seriously, I don't know. Like, there's enough cards in this deck to where I feel like I'm never going to know all of them at all. And I think that like their concepts and their themes are so diverse. Like, surrender your desire to control people, surrender to your full power, surrender defensiveness, surrender procrastination. Like this card is so specific. I feel like this would just come out exactly when it needs to come out. So Power of Surrender cards, I would live and die by this deck. I want to have a copy of it on my person at all times. I want a pocket version of this. I want to be able to keep it in my purse at all times, because if we're talking about a tool that is just versatile and useful and always hits the point, it's this one. A lot of times when I read for my clients too, I allow them to take a picture of the cards. And of course, like with tarot, a lot of times they don't know what it means, especially because I do tend to use Tarot Botanical, which is my favorite deck, and it's a pip deck. So I mean, like, you know, when they're looking at pips, like, they're probably not going to remember what that means, but I always close the reading with this deck. And a lot of clients have appreciated that I've offered to let them take pictures of this, and they've told me they've like set it like as phone backgrounds, or they put it in their favorite section, because these words, people remember this. This is direct advice given to a client that they can take with them, and it's the perfect way to just sum up a reading. I did a reading for someone who I dearly, dearly, dearly love, and this card came out, and the day that this came out, the person that I did the reading for decided to meet up with their boyfriend for the first time. They had been talking online, but it was the first time that they met in person, and they had plans to meet in person before this card came up. And so it came up, I think, at the perfect time for them to be able to surrender that fear of intimacy and surrender to it. And they're in a happy little relationship now. So I think it's potent, I think it's perfect, and I think that if you are turned off by the artwork of this deck, not to influence you, but I absolutely am influencing you. Honestly, most of the time, I don't even notice artwork. I mean, like, it's pretty bad. Like, it's definitely particular. But like, the clients remember the key phrases, and then they appreciate the part of the reading too where I say you can read the message on the bottom for yourself, and I always give them a few minutes to like take it in. I think that this is just a practical tool that makes tarot reading and oracle reading accessible for all. So I would give that deck even to people who don't read, because it's just useful. Okay, now we're getting to the part where I'm getting uber excited. And now we're talking about number 4, which I really could put at number 3. Number 3 and number 4 are battling it out, so we'll see. But number 4 is definitely the Prophet Oracle. If I lost this deck to, God forbid, a fire or a flood, some kind of catastrophe, I would rebuy this deck 100 times. If I found out this deck was going out of print, I would probably buy another copy, and I'm not someone who buys double copies of like anything. I love this deck. This deck hits me in a place that's very deep, and it's very visceral, and it's very sensual at times, and it reminds me to be full-heartedly and wholeheartedly present within my life. Take with you your all. I mean, yeah, I get that some people are probably thrown off by the Jesus face. I just ignore that. I read the words. Take with you your all. You know, to get that message is such a deep one, because like, imagine if we lived every day where we took with us our all. The earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the winds long to play with your hair. Like, imagine if we all fell in love with this message and lived in accordance to this message every day. I think that this deck teaches us to be a kinder person. I think that it teaches us to be more mindful. When love beckons to you, follow. Definitely more mindful of love. It is when you give yourself that you truly give. I love it. I love the fact too that the artwork is kind of like this oil painting, to where like the colors are kind of bleeding into one another. There's a smoothness and there's a richness to this that to me is incredibly watery, and this deck is everything that I want out of an oracle deck. Like, Power of Surrender is like me needing something for a practical purpose. This is me needing something to nourish my soul. It is me needing something that to literally sustain my spirit. And so there's nothing more effective to me than when I am sitting outside and I've had a morning of meditation with the bees and the butterflies and my gorgeous flowers, because my garden is coming along so much just within a year. And then I pull a card like this, and I really just get to soak it in. The gates of his heart were flung open. I mean, what more could you want? Like, this deck teaches you who to aspire to. It encourages you to want to be better than where you are now. And so there's nothing negative to say about this deck, except for maybe the fact that it has, horizontal and vertical cards, but whatever. Ooh. I thought I separated them. Interrupted my flow. But I can't get enough of it. And like I said, it does have the cards that are sideways. I put them in the background so that way we couldn't be aggravated by them. And look, I'm still in a place of love for it. Rest in reason and move in passion. I've said before that I like to pull these cards like once a month at the start of like my blood moon cycle. And I really do find that even if I only get to use this deck once a month, or I'm called to use this deck once a month, the messages that are here 1000% stick with me. And I love it. I don't know. This deck has changed my life. I've pulled cards from it in very pivotal moments and carried the advice through with me as I'm going through those moments. And I think it's one that definitely supports people through the stages. I get so gushy about my decks. I guess that's why we love a good top 10 favorite video, because clearly these are the ones that I've bonded with. All right, next is a super new deck to my collection. I've read that with this one on my Instagram page because I do like to do Tarot Tuesdays when I can, where I pull cards for members on my Instagram page for free. I'll leave a link in the description box below. So I have used this for Tarot Tuesdays, but I don't think I've shown this but one time on my channel. I think it did make it into my fall decks video. And this is the Secrets of the Mystic Grove. I'm not sure what's going on with this deck. I think that it is going out of print because I couldn't find it anywhere on US Games, but I saw it on West Star Tarot's channel and I just snagged a copy. That day I bought it because I was like, I need to have this. And so I think I paid $28 for it. So it's still accessible right now if you like it. But the guidebook, absolutely, there's no other fucking way to say it. It fucking slays me. And sorry for the language if that's not you, but that is the language I need to use to express my love for this deck. My hands are shaking talking about it. I was going through a major situation a few weeks ago where I was trying to get over my fear of intimacy. And I pulled this card, and basically in it, the woman is giving the tiger a strawberry and the strawberry is taking it from the woman. And it literally says in the guidebook, the gift of friendship that's being offered to you right now is not fake. It's authentic. It's real. And I had just journaled about how I felt afraid opening myself up to another person because I didn't know what would come from it. And so I find that this deck has the uncanny ability, matched with the guidebook, to say exactly what you need to hear. The guidebook is so freaking well written. So I'll show you a sample page of one of them in just a second. It's short, it's sweet. They have 3 questions that you can easily adapt to tarot spreads. So sometimes in the morning when I have time to do it, I do it. And sometimes I don't. But I just did the tarot spread with these 3 questions the other day. I love it. I love the fact that the creator used actual real birds and real butterflies, because I can look at this and say, oh, look, that's an Io moth. And Io moths are bright yellow in real life. I think they're featured some other places on this card too. So even though right here it's just black and white, I can see that brightness of the yellow, and that really does kind of underscore the concept of winning, just being so proud of your win. And so I bring in a lot of that imagery when I'm working with the cards. This right here is an iris, so iris is awakening, and I love that because, as you know, irises are one of my spiritual symbols, to where they walk that fine line between water and between earth, because they are water-based plants. And so I like that for awakening. We are firmly on earth, but we're awakening into what comes next. So I get so many intuitive hits from this deck. It is unbelievable. And like I said, I think that it is beautiful. I think it's gorgeous. I think that I want to live in this world. I know I did a deck video recently, tarot decks I'd live in, or I think Living in Tarot is what it was called. And I showed 5 decks that I would like to live with. I'd probably kick Dream Enchantress off that list and put this one here. But at the time that I made that video, I didn't have this deck. I want to live in this world so freaking badly. I cannot stand it. I love how the creatures and the animals are interacting together. This is just a safe place. It's a sanctuary. It's a place where everything has its voice. And my husband's spiritual symbol is birds. And so when I get a card, especially that has like a bird and a butterfly and a moth put together, I just love it. Citrus is another one of my spiritual symbols. So the fact it plays here, it's just incredible. So like this one, like the little birds and the little butterflies. So cute. This is actually a queen butterfly. So it looks like it's a monarch, but it's not. So I'm done gushing over that one. That is Secrets of the Mystic Grove. So good. Oh my God, we're at the top 2. I'm sure that some of you are going to be able to guess this one. And I have my little pouch for it, Story Through Stone. It is out of print. Sorry for gushing over out of print decks on this one. But I think the ones that I've shown that are out of print have just been Runic Odyssey, I'm pretty sure. Secrets of the Mystic Grove, I don't really know what's going on, but I think it might be going out of print, and this one. So I just wanted to be transparent. I'll actually hold these as I talk through them. I've talked about it so many times because I can't get over it, and I won't get over it. And like, if you get tired of seeing these cards and you just need to, you know, flip through, you know, skip to the next one to figure out what number 1 is, listen, I don't blame you. But I get so many damn intuitive hits from this deck. It's unbelievable. This deck taught me to trust my intuition. I did a reading for a very deep friend of mine, and she herself is a tarot reader. And so she was like, you know what, you want to try something out? Go ahead, try it with me. And I used pretty much only this deck along with, what is the deck called? It's one of my absolute favorites. The Mystical Dreams Tarot, which for me is like a very intuitive read as well. And though aesthetically they don't match, they both put my brain in like a very true kind of flow state. And the reading, it turned out incredible. And so I think that when I work with this deck, it reminds me to trust myself and to trust my intuition and to slow down and just say what's coming through. I've had a lot of moments recently when I've been reading for people and I felt, no, that's not right. So I go to censor myself, and then I realize, no, that message was meant for them. And so I'm in that process of learning how just to say what comes to mind when I'm reading and just trust that it is right and that it's meant to be received. And I think that this deck is a very large part of it because there is no guide words. There is no guidebook. There's nothing. All you can do is look at this image and see that there's an overpass, you know, and there's water underneath and the water is rising and you have like this desolate city behind it. You know, to me, this image brings up like global warming and like just climate anxiety. And where did that come from? I don't know. You might look at this card and see something totally different. But I think it's exactly what I need to support myself. And this was one of the first decks that I ever bought. And I'm so glad that I did. This card makes me cry every time it comes up. This was on my altar for a long time, showing that I'm crossing that bridge and I'm opening up my heart to the person that's on the other side. It's beautiful. I love it. I wear a lot of jasper in real life too. I do find that that is my favorite stone, especially like red jasper. So these tones, they're also some of my favorite colors. So this deck makes me feel rooted and grounded. And if I lost this one in fire and I couldn't get another one, I'd spend the rest of my days trying to replace it. So Story Through Stones, y'all knew it was going to be here. If you've seen anything on my channel, sorry to be repetitive, but it is what it is. I love my decks. And then number 1 is going to be my Faceted Garden. We love this deck. We love the fact that it has like these shiny edges. It has this beautiful back. We love Faceted Garden. I need to buy the other deck by this creator. Not the tarot. I don't think that the Rain Shadow tarot is very interesting to me. It might be. I don't know. But the other one, the geology-based one. I can't remember its name right now. So this is Faceted Garden. And it's everything I want in a deck. You want to talk about a deck that continually roots me to the core of my spiritual practice, it is this deck. This deck is a deck I shouldn't have waited so long to buy. I should have trusted myself that even though it's $50 and I don't like Oracle decks, that this one was always meant to be with me. I love it. Like when you pull a word like core, and then you think about the core of the earth and how warm it is and how just like solid parts of it are, but then other parts of the core and the other layers of the earth are like this moving, flowing lava. It reaches me on an archetypal level. These words, I can trust my intuition with them. When I pull Scarecrow, I'm like, oh my God, you feel like you have a target on your back. Not only from this imagery, but just the fact that she's bending over and her neck is exposed in this kind of way. This deck makes me feel very vulnerable. It makes my clients, when I read with them, also kind of tune into that vulnerability and slow down and listen to what needs to be said. I also like the fact that a lot of the words are really just like rooted in not only processes, but things. So this is oftentimes a deck that when I pull cards for clients, I allow them to take pictures of this one too. I mean, really, they can take pictures of whatever they want. They paid for the reading. But they oftentimes do like to take pictures of this one, because then when they see flame, that image sort of becomes a spiritual image in their life and has that spiritual significance of how to look out for the mycelium. Guys, you know I'm a fucking mushroom nerd. You know that. I fucking love fungi. So the fact there's a mycelium card in here, there's 0% anything else that I need. 0% anything else that I need. I love this deck. The fountain. I did pull this from someone when we were talking about like how they're pouring so much out, but through that process of giving, they are actually flowering. You know, it's through giving to other people that they feel at their highest. I love this deck. Guys, I love this deck. Y'all, this is why this is number one. I know you can probably hear it in my voice, but I love it. And there's still so many cards in here that I've never gotten. Like this card, didn't know it was in this deck. Have never gotten it. And isn't that funny? I'm wondering if some of you have had that experience too, where you've had decks for a long time and some of them are your favorite decks, but cards just don't come out for you. Like I was talking to my friend last night about the cards that never show up for me. You know what card never shows up for me? I cannot remember the last time it came up, was the High Priestess. And yeah, I know that's tarot and we have an Oracle deck video, but like, it makes me believe in tarot when certain cards never come up, because statistically, I should have seen the Passage card in this deck like 12 times by now. I use this deck probably at least 4 to 5 times a week. And when I read for clients, this is the Oracle deck along with Power of Surrender cards and Runic Odyssey that I bring to read with people. But like, some of the cards never show up. Because I don't need to, you know, read Passage right now. I don't need to see Seeds. This is another card that's never came up for me. You know, statistically, you're supposed to receive these cards, but then you don't. So what does that mean? Pollinator. It's just everything to me. Like, taking care of our pollinators is one of my greatest missions in life. And you probably know that if you've been here for a while and you've seen my Instagram channel. But when I pull this card, it's not just a pollinator. It's not just a butterfly. To me, it is a continuous reminder of my life's purpose. So I love this deck. I'm gonna go ahead and show it all because the artwork is beautiful. The words are glorious. If you're a garden person, you should have this deck. No doubt about it. You should have this deck. All right, so that was Faceted Garden. I do have there are two other cards in that, but they stay on my altar space, so guys, that's it. That is my top 10 Oracle decks video, and there is probably like a drastic change from like 10 all the way down to 1, but you know what? I'm still collecting Oracle decks. I'm still leaning into Oracle decks. I'm still learning more about them. But like I said, like the Faceted Garden has only been in my collection for probably about 5 months now. Not even 5 months. It's probably been like 3 months. Honestly, I think I bought it in July, so it's been here for 2 months. So I'm still very early on in my Oracle love, but I think right now I'm pretty confident in saying that most of the decks that I showed here, they're going to stay on this list, especially the ones that are tried and true, such as like Power of Surrender. Like, that's not going anywhere. So I'll probably make an update to this video sometime in 6 months or maybe a year, because I do find that like I'm very much a mood tarot reader, and so I think that this list will definitely change. So anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope that all of you have a really beautiful day, and I hope that wherever you are, you're embracing the seasonal shifts, whatever that means for you, regardless of whatever hemisphere you're in or longitude or latitude. I hope that this space of like transition is giving you the opportunity to reflect and the opportunity to just be really present. So I hope that y'all have a beautiful day, and I really appreciate all you do to support my channel. Every like and every comment means the world to me. So thank y'all so much.